is still a mystery. Investigator Sarah Goldenberg continues our series Unidentified. And a warning, some images in this story may be disturbing to some people.
It's been one of Cuyahoga County's most puzzling cases. The woman who called herself Tanya Greene was murdered during a time of rising drug violence in Cleveland. We take you inside the task force fighting Jamaican gangs at the time and look at the clues that could lead to this woman's real identity. Cleveland in the mid-1980s, hit by a wave of drugs and violence. A lot of that linked to the Jamaican mob, led by a ring in Miami. And the suburbs weren't spared.
The Jamaican drug dealers already had a reputation for extreme violence.
October 1986, Cleveland Heights. Someone pushed a woman's body out of a moving vehicle at Rayburn and Westburn Roads. She had been badly beaten and shot 11 times, including in the head. Police initially identified her as Tanya Greene. News reports at the time said she worked for a man named Robert Brown, a notorious drug dealer operating in Cleveland. But she was going to testify against him, and Brown eventually went down for ordering her murder. Here's Roger Bamberger, Assistant U.S. Attorney in Cleveland at the time.
He was a Jamaican drug trafficker, and when he became familiar to us, he already had a reputation for being responsible for multiple murders.
Bamberger was asked to run the Caribbean Gang Task Force when it first started here, after a wave of shootings in 1986 and 87 linked to Jamaican gangs.
And they had become infamous because of their willingness to spray a house with fire, spray a restaurant, spray a sidewalk. If there was somebody they wanted to kill, they had no problems with collateral damage. Didn't make any difference if you were innocent, totally minding your own business.
About a dozen different agencies, from Cleveland Police to the ATF, worked their sources and set up undercover stings.
It was hard, long work, but they were dedicated.
And it was dangerous, but it didn't take long before they started making arrests. Bamberger saved some articles from those days.
And so on top of the fact that we found drugs and guns and money, we found something like 400 pictures.
When police tried to contact her family in Florida, they couldn't find anyone. Brown later went to prison for her murder, but Tanya's real identity has been a mystery ever since.
Every day it seems you hear the news, somebody finding out years later that they had a loved one who is no longer on the earth. And that's a tragedy.
Here's what we know about the woman known as Tanya Greene. She was African American, between 32 and 42 years old, 5'6" and 119 pounds. She had black hair and brown eyes. A 10-inch long scar marked her upper right abdomen. These evidence photos show the clothes Tanya was wearing the day she died. X-rays, fingerprints, and dental records got no hits in national databases. Somewhere out there, this woman called Tanya has a family. Decades later, they may still be wondering what happened to her. I'm told the Caribbean Gang Task Force paved the way for how federal, state, and local agencies come together today to fight drugs and crime. The Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner's Office tells us there is movement in what's known as the Tanya Greene case, but that was all they said they could share at this time. Sarah Goldenberg, 19 News.
All right, Sarah, thank you. And if you know who that woman was, call the Medical Examiner's Office at the number there on your screen.